Thanks for coming. I'm Emily Jiang. I work for IBM. I have many roles actually. This is my probably fourth or fifth times at JCON. And since in the move to Cologne, this is my third time on a row. Who else has been here 3 times? 3 times? Oh, wow. Okay, first time. Wow, most of you first. Second time. Okay, so most of you are first time. So it's basically I work on open source. I work on Jakarta E and microprofile. I'm a really big fan about open source, and also I really want to work on the standard as well. In IBM, I lead team to implement the standard as well in Open Liberty. Who else have heard of Open Liberty? Oh, okay, not bad, quite good. Who is using Open Liberty in their work? Nobody? Oh, a couple. Great, thanks. Who have heard of WebSphere? WebSphere? Okay, if you have heard of WebSphere, you definitely need to try out Open Liberty. So you can reuse a lot of same APIs, but it's really, really fast startup and good performance. Actually, in today's talk, I'm going to talk something different. I'm going to talk about AI. Last year, I spent basically half of my time on microprofile Jakarta, and also the rest of my time also work on the Watson X code assistant for enterprise Java applications. So who have heard of Watson? Watson? Yeah, you know, IBM has invested a lot on the Watson kind of the challenges, and also Watson AI. And also last year, we kind of announced the Watson X code assistant, so similar to Copilot. So in today's talk, basically, I'm going to share the story, or the true story. Basically, I took this challenge. Basically, this is a challenge. At first, I thought, okay, Emily, your task is to make sure we are building a great product. And you have to basically assess the product to see whether it's good enough. And actually, at first, I was assigned to that, basically to that task. I was given one person. And then to start with, is kind of doing the spreadsheet to build a test case and then check it. I said, this won't scale. It's all the time is gonna code change, and I said, how can I test it? I can't. I don't have enough people, and also I don't really want to give this kind of tedious task to my team. I don't. Nobody else want to stare at the spreadsheet like this is the code and this is the kind of explanation, and then you give it rating and make sure every day you do the same thing again and again. So let me show you the true story. Show you the product I'm telling about. So and then you have this context. So for this, I know it's a lot of you won't be building any kind of code assistant. However, very soon you are, or maybe right now you are building AI applications. You have the same challenge. How can you test it? So now, have you thought about how can you test your AI apps? So this is something you need to ask yourself, what kind of metrics you should use. So if you have any questions, and make sure you scan this code. Actually, I have this picture in most of my slides. So whenever you have questions, you just scan this one and type in your question. We can answer towards the end. So let me show you the product I was building. So it's I'm on VS Code. You can see basically the VS Code. This is can you see okay toward the end? Yeah, all good. So it's basically I have Watson X code assistant plugin basically installed. So if I use search Watson X, so you can see here, I have like Watson X code assistant, and that's the kind of the basically the base, and then also the Watson X code assistant for enterprise Java applications. So this is the kind of this plugin built on top of this. Once you install this one, you get that one. And then it's kind of for this the plugin. What can you do? Once you have that plugin installed, you will immediately get this code length, like explain. So this is basically explain this this class. So here, if I click explain, it will basically, this is same like we put the context in part of the prompt, and then this is command / explain, and then give me a kind of the basically explain this the class. You think about, okay, this is a bigger paragraph, and I will take a time, like a few minutes, to read it and think about it. Do you think you want every day you want to spend the time to read it and think of it, do a take and give it a rating? So this is the kind of thing. How can I read this kind of the explanation? So this is one thing. The other thing is more challenging. So this is a class, right? And now it's kind of I work on this old code, and nobody cared to write any unit test. But if I want to maintain this code for sure, I mean, if I do any code bug fix and etc., I don't really want to introduce more bugs. First thing I will address the tech debt. I will do the basically unit test. Again, it's similarly basically / or alternatively, if you don't use code length, you do / unit test and this name. And then Watson X will create basically unit test for you. Because it will be creating like trying to increase the code coverage and etc. So it will create quite a beta test. Again, like I will spend quite a few minutes, even more than 10 minutes to read this test. Again, how can I be sure this test is generated good enough, right? So it's the one thing you might be think about, okay, do you think the variable name matters? I mean, it doesn't. However, there's so many variable names. If it's you could come up with a different variable names and etc., surely it will look very different. Again, basically the way to test also is different. And for these kind of things, the unit test generated, how can I be sure this test makes sense? Again, what kind of metrics can I use? Surely, I think I can't really write down my own unit test. They say LLM generates something similar to my test. It won't happen because all the time it will give you something different. So this is the kind of second challenge, for this unit test. The other thing is the kind of one thing I was very proud to show you. So what is the X code assistant can also do the basically modernization. So it's something like that. So he's modernized this application, and I can let it analyze my application. And then we'll be able to work out basically what's the source. So basically, I mentioned about if my application is basically on Apache Tomcat or JBoss or other app server or WebLogic or older version WebSphere. For example, any of you are maintaining your WebSphere application? Anybody? Okay, nobody. Or one. If you are, try this out. So basically the source, and then you can choose WebSphere Liberty. So, and then you can do the migration. The other beauty is, so here, my application on Java 8. Who else are using Java 8? Okay, if you use Java 8, now your biggest task is to migrate to a later version of Java. I can directly use the Watson X code assistant to migrate to the latest Java 21. I can just do a build and analyze. So basically, it will directly scan my application. It's a whole thing as a context. Go to the basically LLM, and then it's it will create basically if quite a lot Open Liberty already. So it's one thing is to control the basically runtime is server XML, and you can also generate a container file either running on Podman or Docker. So I can do proceed. And then it will give me a analysis report. So one thing I want to basically tell you is, if you are on Java 8, you want to move to Java 21, basically there's so many open rewrite recipes we contributed. Who else know open rewrite? Open rewrite? Oh, that's great. If you know open rewrite, if you do not know, and check it out, also there's a booth there, open rewrite. So our team work very closely with open rewrite. We contribute a lot recipes. So basically, for modernize a WebSphere to Liberty, and also we have some recipes as well. And this is all the flagged up. So also the Java upgrade. So all the the API changes is have the relevant recipes. I can run automated fixes. So I want to basically show you this is directly run the open rewrite recipes. From this, basically the presentation, if you want to migrate Java 8 to Java basically 21, you can utilize some recipes we contributed. So here is basically rebuild and refresh, and then you will just fix all the different rules. And the other thing is the assisted fixes. So this is basically LLM will help you to do the migration. As you can see, this is Java or Java things all being done. So this is assisted fixes. So this is directly goes through LLM, and then LLM give you some suggestion, and then you do the fix. Again, I need to test this out as well. And for this, later on we'll explain how can we measure whether the product is good enough to fix all these LLM assisted fixes. For this, one thing is we directly came up a really detailed prompt and make sure LLM do not do any hallucination. So always give us exactly same response back. So this is the what it happens with the LLM assisted fixes. So the other thing, this is one part of the story. The other thing is basically, for example, if you create a brand new applications. So it's basically I'm creating another Open Liberty applications. Show you. I just create. I use Open Liberty start the OpenLiberty.io. I create an application so I can. I installed Liberty Dev mode, basically Liberty Dev tools, and I can start an application. So for this one, I want to show you basically I can create basically a class, for example, Hello World. If I just directly say, okay, I don't really want to write my own class. I want LLM, like AI generate a class for me. What I'm going to do, I want to say, okay, this class is just, who knows JCON? JCON E? Okay, good to know. For example, I just say, this is JCON RESTful web services. To say hello world, JCON. Today is the 15th of May. Okay. Now I want to generate things. Just kick off. As you can see at the bottom, what is an Xcode assistant generate code? See, it did quite well. The generated class is is kind of the JCON, JCON, like 2025. Oh, look, it's I said like 15. He said 14. As you can see, why is it called a code assistant? It's not like it won't directly replace you. So actually, like I know this is kind of localhost 9098. I can directly go here. I can localhost 98, and here I use basically OpenAPI UI. I can directly do that. Let me save that. So this is JCON. I'm happy with it, and then I save it. And then if I go back, I can see the changes straight away. As you can see, I do a get, try it out, execute. You can see basically this. So because it's basically the kind of this is code assistant. As you can see, it directly creates like a file for me. And then again, how do I test it? So how can I test this newly generated file? And also with that, actually, it can do basically code completion for me. For example, if I type like at inject at config property, for example, is name equals conference. You can see it's basically all this is basically code complete. String is automatically come up with basically do the conference. So you can see it's basic kind of doing all this. So this is basically the code. As you can see, is all the code complete and etc. So it's basically for this either one line or multiple lines. How can I test it? So this is basically the story and my task. So let me tell you. So how I create a framework and test it out. So it's the first thing is why I created this framework and what is the framework, how I did it. So for why is basically, if we release this, we want to tell the customer how good it is. Also, it's kind of the, I don't really want to spend a lot of manual work, and I don't want my team to spend a lot of tedious kind of hours to eyeballing all these tests. And also, there's a regression, etc. I don't really want, basically, whenever you fix a defect, you introduce two more, right? And the other thing is, even though you use basically different code assistant tool, do you know there's an LLM working in the background? And also, you know, the LLM has to be keep on refreshing. You know, LLM has basically, like today's LLM maybe is kind of 6 months old. Because by the time you use the LLM, put it in the cloud, actually, it went through the training, fine-tuning, a lot of the work. And by the time you use it, it's a few months old already. And then it's new data keep on coming in, and also the folks will retrain the LLM, refine it. You keep on basically need to refreshing LLM. The other thing is I found out, actually, I work very closely with IBM research. So they spend a lot of time fine-tuning, use a different algorithm. And I also found out, actually, that the LLM has been exposed to more data, may not be as smart as the LLM, has less data. So this is something like if you overdo it, and actually you killed basically the spirit from the previous LLM. So this is another thing. And the basically is the challenge. Now the challenge. I think you can all understand the challenge now. So basically, the LLM has a hallucination, and also is come up with different answers all the time. For example, I say, how is the weather today? And sometimes say it's good, or it's perfect, or it's just about right. For us, it's similar, right? It's the kind of, but you can't really read it twice to say, is all okay, it's good, and then you list them all. This won't work. There's no basically exact the same kind of answer. You cannot list all of them. The other thing is kind of, for this test, because it has a lot of variance, and there's a need a lot of human intervention, because the human need to be in a loop and also assess actually. This is like if you are a teacher, you mark the essays. It's really difficult to use a machine to read the essays and give you a mark, right? A lot of teachers spend more time to do the essay marking. And as you know, we do the multiple choices, and very quickly you get your score. But for essays, it will take a long time. Okay, so it's with this challenge and with the task and etc. So it's I basically laid out so what I need to do. So I need to do basically code explanation for the different level, unit test generation for the different level, code completion, one line, multiple line, and then I wrote a comment and translate the code. And for the app modernization, basically the migrate from WebSphere to Liberty, and then this is also LLM assisted fixes, and also Java upgrade. So this is a whole basically the category, the task I need to do. So this is the kind of architecture I came up with. So I have three bigger things. One is the kind of I prepare my test. This test actually, this is the kind of hundreds, thousands of rows of test data. So we fed into the LLM, and then the LLM give me an answer, and then we wrote down our expected result. This is kind of the thing, and then it's kind of give it a score. So this is test data. The other thing is the metrics. The metrics, we kind of went through a lot of research, and I read a lot of articles about all these different metrics, and then not a single metrics can fulfill the tasks. So we have to combine all the different metrics and also for the different categories. And then even that, you don't really basically feed the data and then get a metrics. It does not work that way. And then how can you explain to your boss? Actually, oh, I have a 70% confidence. Why? How can you sample it? So again, I also is basically, as I told my team, actually, if we set 70%, and automatically the dashboard, the UI, automatically display, okay, this is the test data, this is what I expected, this is kind of what coming up from LLM. So anybody can log on this website to see straight away what LLM gave me. So it's why you get this score. So this is kind of the result dashboard. So this is kind of the basically the diagram I came up with. So for the implementation, we use a lot basically script, shell scripting, and also batch and Python to go to run invoke this metrics, and also the UI. Again, we use that's React.js. And then it can display all the results and display the data and has a detailed explanation. So how we did it? So the first, the data set. For the data set, actually, is, this is kind of the different data set. So we listed there. And there's a Java SE, basically application. Also have like a EE application, including Jakarta, like a EE application, macro profile application, and also Spring application. And plus is we are adding like basically more Spring application and Quarkus application. How many of you are using Quarkus? Okay, a few. How many of you are using Spring? Okay, a lot more. So for the metrics, so the metrics, so it's need to be quantitative because all of us, we need to be measured. Like performance, we need to measurable and quantifying all the things, and also reliable. So basically, all the time, for example, you run the test, it won't work if today give you like 20%, and tomorrow 90%. With that, how can you explain to your boss? Actually, today you got 20%, tomorrow is 90%. So that's clear means your metrics is not good enough. So again, it's kind of the reliable and also accurate. So we have basically with our metrics, etc., we have very very kind of small variant of the result. Is quite accurate. So the metrics pipeline. So it's basically for the metrics. There's a couple categories. One is ground truth. For ground truth, which means we need to come up with the expected result. So this is kind of time consuming. I think also is kind of for the explanation, I can write a paragraph. For unit test, it's very difficult. I can't really, basically, all of us write a test, probably we write a completely different test or different number of the tests, and etc. And then it's kind of, there's another thing, LLM as a judge. How many of you have heard of it? Okay, good. So basically, there's some basically large language model can be used as a judge. Like I use this for in a llama to say, okay, llama, you read basically granite this model to see whether the result is good or not. That's pretty good actually. We use for instance llama, it give me is saying, okay, I give it a 7 because it give you exactly explain why you give it 7, not 9, not 5, and etc. And this is kind of the third category, especially for generating unit test. And obviously, when we do the unit test, we say, okay, what's the code coverage and etc. So that's obviously whether it's generated is kind of the proper Java classes and etc. So this is an obvious candidate for test generation. So before I go forward with all the kind of the different category, I just going through the research I have done about the different metrics and etc. So the first one is blue. So bilingual evaluation and study. So this is kind of the this is directly to the similarity check to see how similar this text. I mean, for how similar this expected against this is kind of reference. This is kind of LLM generated test. It's basically if it's 1, so that means kind of pretty much is exact. If it's 0, nothing similar. So this is the thing. And then one thing is need to be careful here is kind of it focuses on precision. So how much words in the candidate appearing in the reference. So basically, if you have a reference, so this is a ground truth, and a candidate LLM. So it's how much is in the reference. So you could have very few words and then appearing in the reference. So this is one direction. So this is kind of the. How many of you are having a math background? Okay. Now, when you talk with LLM, suddenly your math is knowledge is can be used. So these are a lot. Basically, what I learned in the university, etc. Suddenly came back. I nearly forgot. So it's kind of this is a math how to work out the blue score. So it's like the process is very quick and easy, and it's give you the number. Is language independent and widely adopted. And however, is the cons is the lack of similarity understanding, and also is trying to strive for exact matching. And also all the word has the same weight, and some words are not important, like a z, like and etc. And also insensitive to word order. Is basically if you swap the order, the things are different, but is not sensitive to that. And blue is for the language. For the code, actually, you can also use blue. However, but the blue doesn't take into consideration of the code. And with that, there's a variant of that. It's called code blue. So basically, it could take into consideration the code synthesis kind of thing. So the other categories, this is what has mentioned here in the matrix is very like a famous one. The other one is ROT, Recall-Oriented Understudy for Distinct Evaluation. So it has a different variance. It has one, so small, and this a little bit bigger, so the bigger syllables. And L is the largest common sentences. And the L sum is the sentence levels, is like a cover bigger. One thing I want to say is this is the other direction. This is how much the words in the human reference appearing in the candidate. So it's basically if it's kind of the like a human, like a ground truth, how much things mentioned in the ground truth appearing in the candidate. So this is directly opposite direction as the blue. So this is called ROACH. So again, it's similar. It's inexpensive and widely used. However, this is the cons. Is basically the can't manage different words with the same meaning. Like for the wet and watery is similar, but it's kind of this is kind of doesn't think the same. The other like blue and red is all focused on the words and also or even part of the word. And then for the code explanation, normally is kind of paragraphs. So for that, basically the sentence transformer. So basically we use the paragraph mini large language model L6V2. So basically this is from Hugging Face to directly compare the bigger sentences for similarities. So this is another one. The third one is basically the fourth one is the LLM as judge. So for LLM as judge, quite a few LLM can be used as judge. One thing I want to mention is the judge LLM not necessarily itself can do a better job. As you can see, the football judge may not be a good footballer, right? And also basically the judge may not can do the things themselves. However, is good at judging. So this is we use a llama. As you can see here, it gives me a score and also explain why you get this low score. So it's also with that we assessed actually the reasoning was not bad. So that's why it's kind of we also adopted this. For the test generation, we used the basically code coverage. The very famous basically. Any of you do code coverage? Okay, if you do basically JCON, you know it basically is pretty well, right? The other thing is kind of even though you have a good code coverage, and also you need to make sure you want to maintain the unit test. And in order to maintain it, you need to understand it. Obviously, if you want to understand it, the generated unit test needs to be natural. So we also use basically the like a check style. So we call the library directly check whether it's good Java or not. Is another thing. And then the third thing, this is we came up ourselves. And if you have a method, do you think it's acceptable? You want to achieve 100% code coverage by creating 100 unit tests. Nobody wants to create like more than 5 unit tests for like one simple method, right? So with that, we found out actually, I don't really want LLM focus on the code coverage. I want to also make sure it generates reasonable number of the unit tests. I cannot bear. I have a class. I have over 100 tests. In that case, I won't. If I fix a bug, and I have a huge job to do to do this test, to fix the test, and etc. So also basically we came up with okay, if I'm the tester here, for this method probably I only write 5 tests. If you give me like a 50, I will give a bad score for this LLM. So this is the thing. Also as I mentioned earlier, so basically we use a combined basically metrics. For code explanation, we use the LLM as judge with some weighting. And also we use the natural basically NLP model for the sentence transformer. And also we use the red and blue together for another metrics. And plus we came up with some other our own check. So have you used LLM? Sometimes you type in one sentence, LLM repeat the same sentence over again. Basically, seriously hallucinated. We kind of during a test we find out that. So basically, we come up with our our own metrics. Basically, if it has a repetition, and also sometimes give me broken sentences. So this is basically caused by the length. You know, when you send the prompt to LLM, so there's a kind of there's a limit for the prompt. So it's each LLM will have a limit for how much basically how much tokens, how many tokens you can send to LLM, and how many tokens LLM can send you. Sometimes it's not. It'll give you back a broken sentence. Again, it's kind of will get a penalty. And for this, one thing I really want to say is you won't get 100%. And also, if we use this metrics, we found out actually if it's over 60, and this is pretty good, pretty acceptable, give a green. If it's 50 to 60, yeah, it's okay. So basically, all these yellow and green, we display on the dashboard. We say, okay, this is a pass, and orange is probably below my expectation. And then it's kind of anything below 50 is kind of that's pretty much not acceptable. So with that, we can measure basically how good the product is. So here, code explanation. So in my dashboard, I will say, okay, this is I explain this class. So this is the human written one. So this is what I come up with large language model. So which date and this will run. So it's pretty much really good good matching and also give a score. And then in my pipeline, if it's not acceptable, I can raise a defect even. So pretty good. For the test basically generation. For the score, again, we use the check style, and also we use basically test case produced, code coverage, and again, so basically 60% green. And this is basically 40 to 6 found is okay. Anything is basically less than basically 40. Here should be less than 40. Is the kind of the orange. So for the code completion, so we use basically the code red L and code blue. If it's no code generated, give 0. Again, we have the basically different metrics to give a different color. So as you can see here, I displayed all these kind of different categories. It's pretty good. And for the framework here is basically a block of code I want it to generate. Once I type here, I want to generate a block. So here, the bigger block needs to be generated. So this is expected. This is actual. Pretty good. Pretty good. And then it's a kind of, we use our metrics, it gives me a score as well. It's a pretty good score. And for LLM, basically, LLM associated fixes. So it's, this is the kind of I mentioned earlier. So we give really detailed prompt. We send it to the basically what is the Xcode assistant, and going through different LLM. Yeah, and then is we need to get exactly same output. So basically, it's exactly we basically want fix the prompt and add as much as context as possible, and then with that we kind of control the random kind of the response to fix that variant. We come up with exactly same output from each each test runs. So with that, we use basically this Levenstein edit distance could make exactly same. It's 1. If it's less than basically greater than, if it's kind of less than 0.9 is not acceptable. So it's basically we want to make sure it's there's no random kind of all the time is LLM assisted fixes. Give me exactly what to do. It's not like today give me this way and tomorrow give me a different way. So, and then for the dashboard, and I can display the overall metrics, and also whenever my research, the research team said, can you try out this LLM? I can basically fit in call into a bit different LLM, give different metrics. We tell exactly which LLM is better. I'm very proud. So basically, every time we come up with, we use a metrics, and then we can tell exactly same truth about LLM, and then they will test and then do it manually and etc. Yeah, that's pretty much this automated metrics and meet their experience. Actually, only recently, I think they made a mistake in the pre-processing part, and they said this LLM should be better than previous version, and then our metrics displayed actually not exactly the meets their kind of the statement. I said it's basically I said that's not true. I don't know what's going on, but this is the start. And then they take a look and say, oh yeah, you're right. We made a mistake in our pre-processing. So again, it's kind of the stable and accurate metrics is very important for the testing the AI applications. And then is kind of I can automate all the tests, and we every week we automatically launch all the tests. This is all part of this kind of the framework. And on Friday night we launch that. So every week you got a brand new test result to look at. So this is pretty much is about the metrics framework. Hopefully, it's kind of you get to know, basically think about, we make you think about when you build your AI applications, you can reuse the similar metrics, and also you should think, differently, as you have done your traditional testing framework and etc. And it's challenging, but at the same time, it's very rewarding once you find the ideal metrics to work with. Again, we are doing a IDE, Java IDE developer survey. Can you scan this one? Only 5 questions. So it would be great if you scan this one to fill in a survey for us. Only 5 questions. So we would like to create some plugins for the Java developers to go with. Again, it's kind of the Slido. I don't know. We have, I know our timer is up. However, let me see whether we have any questions. Oh, not yet. Uh-huh. Oh. Oh, this one. Oh, is this what is that called generally available yet? What are the costs? Yeah, very good question. Yeah, it's generally available. You can talk to me. You can log on to the IBM. What is just a Google IBM code? What is an X code assistant? Can find. There's a kind of the trial as well. So here. Try for free, and yeah, go here and then contact yeah, talk to our sales folks, and yeah, there's a lot. Basically, it's demos. Go with it. Any other questions? Refresh. Is the slide of kind of slow? Or internet is slow? Yeah. I can create some questions. Try reload. Any question from our audience here? Join. Oh. Oh, good. I think that's it. Yeah. So with that, and thank you so much for coming in. And yeah, it's in a couple of hours, the conference will be over. Hope you had a great time. I hope to see you again soon. Yeah, safe travels. Thank you.